using my services to be able to access an outdoor space, which right now they cannot. So, any plans on how we're gonna deal with that whole issue?
Not in the immediate future. They do have the patio downstairs, so. The replacement of the deck would ultimately be part of the planning, the overall master planning process. So I'll just have to see how they react to the utilization of the deck, or not utilizing the deck, I should say.
Is that something you're considering and trying to figure out to get into 2020s?
Yeah, so, you know, the thoughts I have would be to look at the facility as a whole when we're developing the master plan, and sort of how we want that programmed out, since we're transitioning from a golf course to a park. You know, when we're looking at how we may want to utilize and program that building, that might tie into, do we need as much deck? Do we need a smaller deck? You know, there's a covered roof portion that comes out over the deck where the posts are rotted. Do we need to sort of keep that? Do we want to change sort of the look of the building to have it a little bit more park-like? So that's all stuff I'd like to kind of take into consideration when we're looking at sort of the new park as a whole versus, do we replace this deck right now, and then in 2 years, we just spent $60,000 to $80,000 on a deck that we decide that we may not need as large of a deck. So that's just my thought on kind of working through how to effectively look at developing a whole park versus one little piece of the facility.
It makes sense. We don't want to just build a deck for,
Yeah.
a caterer.
Yeah.
You want to build it, right, to kind of go with.
And how we're gonna program and utilize that facility, you know, if we're gonna have weddings and banquet type stuff upstairs, but then, you know, what's that mean for the rest of the park as far as, do we need other kind of more picnic shelter? You know, how it all ties together is really what we wanna kind of work through during that master planning stage, so.
As much as I am concerned about them not, by the time this goes through, I mean, we're already in August, even if we don't go into contract for another 30, 45 days, it's fall, you know, I mean, they're not gonna need the use of the deck, hopefully, winter, season, so as long as we're considering this and trying to figure out what we can do, in 2020, hopefully we can negotiate something.
I did mention to Donna, and hopefully when we meet Thursday, I can mention to her husband, Michael, that part of the process is in looking at a master plan, looking at the soundness of that building, how we maintain it. Does it need, for example, HVAC upgrades, things of that nature? And I mentioned that they would need to grow with us along with the master plan, and there did not seem to be the apprehension in doing that. So whether it's decks or anything else associated with that building, that gives us the opportunity to bring on the design development team, as you know, and engineers and architects that are specialized in looking at things like decks and those other things. So they didn't seem apprehensive in doing that with us. So.
What happens if, so right now the doors are locked, and are they blocked? Is there?
They're locked, and down at the steps, they have a piece of wood across it and some caution tape, and
Okay, which, if somebody wants to go up on the deck, they're gonna ignore it.
But that's like at all our parks, we can kind of do what we can to say under construction, stay out closed, but same with our trails, we can put a trail closed sign up and people can walk around it. I mean, that gets into, again, short of somebody being there the moment somebody goes onto it, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that they're aware not to go on it, but.
And we have signage up.
What does the sign say? Read.
I
think it's like that closed or area closed.
Area closed.
I mean, we can put.
I would think we'd probably want to put something that, due to, unsafe conditions, the deck is, closed.
Okay.
It just, deck closed does not mean that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Letting them know that it's dangerous is.
Warning, safety warning, whatever, just something. It doesn't, and again, I know there's immunity, but if it's not sufficient, I mean, there's always a way around some of those, for liability purposes. I would be very concerned that our warning isn't sufficient. Or do we just remove?
The other option is we could just remove it.
Well, that's actually what was gonna be my next question. Do we just remove remove it, board up the doors temporarily until we figure out what is the next step. I mean, you gotta remove it anyway, right?
Yeah, I would anticipate, I mean, from what the structural engineer said, you know, the supports, the decking are all undersized, there's rotting in the posts supporting the roof.
Can we do it relatively, can we do it in-house? Is that something that we have to contract out?
I would say we probably wanna contract that out, so we'd have to look at maybe moving some funds from one of our other accounts into
You know, I
contract
just,
services.
if you got something up there or whatever, kid climbs over it, goes up there, ends up, the leg goes through a rotted board, and the next thing you know, they're a Geauga, with either stitches or God knows, something worse. You know, I mean, the mind can travel. I would really hate to see someone getting injured just because they wanted to see what the deck was like. So yeah, removal is probably the best thing to do at this point.
And we'll get you an estimate, probable cost, get you an estimate from a contractor, we'll see about removing the deck.
If it's an emergency situation, I would state, I mean, if it's structurally unsound, you're saying rotting boards and so forth and so on, it's just, you know.
What are we currently open through, like reservations, how far do you have out right now open?
I was told to just open it back up,
Yeah.
so.
Just completely open back up? Okay.
It's through the special use permit process. We'd had a couple people ask whether or not it was still open, so I can't say there are a ton of them. But
No,
there
there's
have
not a
been,
ton.
yeah, there've been some requests to use it, so.
I might have one or two into September, I'm not sure that I'd have
Okay.
any beyond September.
Maybe I would just be careful after September until after this.
And I was wondering, do you guys wanna
Thursday.
keep it open, or are we, once we decide if we're gonna
Well,
remove it?
During demolition.
I was gonna say, I mean, if we're gonna be removing the deck and that, do we wanna consider just not having that facility open until we work through kind of what the building's gonna be utilized for?
We have no use, I mean, do you have anybody using it now, no?
In
I know it's
August,
open.
I've got the foundation.
Yeah.
The
I mean, how many
foundation.
reservations and requests have we had, just a couple?
Like I said, I don't think there's any more than 3.
Okay.
You know, rather than, I mean, again, we can demo just the deck, but anytime we start to break things up into pieces, it might be better to sort of, again, work through kind of an overall plan
Yeah,
of
Maybe
what
that's
we wanna do, and we have 24 other parks with facilities and shelters that are available. That's just my thoughts.
It might be best to hold off until we figure out, you know. I mean, like, the property was purchased, and I think that's something that, you know, for the public, the property was purchased for the land, for the value of the park, for the value, you know, for the watershed. You know, I know we've had, you know, I mean, it was a high-quality property with an stream bed restoration and the brook trout, you know, reintroduction. So, I mean, I guess when you're looking at the deck and you just segregate that small piece, and you're thinking to yourself, well, you ask yourself a lot of questions, but it's like, you know, the primary purpose here was to buy that land and to dedicate it as a park and create a new space for the residents to be able to enjoy. So, you know, this is just part of managing a piece of property with buildings on it.
Because the deck itself, I mean, again, structurally, if 1 or 2 or 6 people are on there, it's probably
No,
not as
that's-
issue,
that's
but,
probably
well,
a
and see,
bad word.
this is where we're dealing with, again, if you open up that facility and 200 people go out there, then, yeah, it's an unsafe thing, so I would rather work through, again, the process of how we want to develop this whole new park. Again, like you said, the value was in the property, the ability to preserve kind of natural resources. So the byproduct of that acquisition is we do have this facility that we can utilize and program down the road, but again, before we start in a vacuum looking at, well, demo the deck and then, you know, sort of break up into pieces, it seems like we've been more successful when we look at things as a whole and develop an overall plan and execute that.
So I would suggest, I would agree with you. My suggestion would be that we as a park commission, maybe, other than the ones that are currently that are currently scheduled. Maybe we hold off on doing anything with that facility. Obviously, I would continue to negotiate with the folks that want to use it, and let's get a plan in place rather quickly.
Yeah, in 5 to 6 months, if we say, here's the direction we're going, and we know the deck is changing, and we know roughly what it's gonna be, then we can start to look at demoing. But right now, if we just say, okay, demo it, it could be months and months before we even have a sense of like, what that building may look
And
like.
at least put up stronger safety signs and better blockage, not just a caution tape.
So to be clear,